So what kind of toys did y'all play with when you were a kid? I'm just curious about that. What kind of toys did y'all play with when you were a kid? Like what did y'all do when you were a child? What did you play with? How did you?
How did I play with?
Yeah, what did you play with?
Did
you have marbles and stuff?
My toes.
But can Titus record you again?
We had toys we made ourselves out of whatever was available.
John was saying that him and his sisters used to use leaves to pretend like they were money.
Would do what?
They would use leaves and pretend like they were money.
Oh yeah. We made little gadgets out of this, that, and other.
So what kind of toys you make yourself? What were they? What were they? The toys you made for yourself?
Well, we made board games. Kind of like checkers, but it was different situations, you know. We called it the fox and the geese.
The fox and the geese?
Yeah.
Huh. It was that y'all's game, or is a normal game everybody played?
It was a board game.
Oh, board game.
You drew it yourself, and the fox would catch the geese.
Uh-huh.
And the idea was to move the geese so the fox couldn't catch them, so you'd hem the foxes up until they couldn't move.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one. And I don't know. But make little gadgets. I'd whittle out a fake gun out of a piece of wood, pretend it was a weapon to shoot somebody with.
That sounds like Taylor.
Childhood. I made a mini of a slingshot with rubber bands and fork and stick. And got kind of proficient with that.
What kind of wood did y'all use for that? Just whatever? What kind of wood did you use for the slingshot?
Which one was shaped right? Hickory would work good.
Yeah.
If you get one, you know, strong on it, like that. And, rubber bands from an old interview.
Where'd you if you
Killed my last bird with one of them.
You did what?
My last bird.
Your last one?
Yeah. Never killed another bird after I shot. Slipped up under a little apple tree.
Yeah.
And killed a cardinal with a slingshot and a piece of, it wasn't a rock, it was a crockery.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there singing, you know, just. And I slipped up under that tree and shot him. And he clipped its head off.
Yeah.
And that thing was still touched on the tree with his feet. You know, killed him instantly. And he fell right down on top of me.
Yeah.
And I'll never shoot another bird. That never happened.
Remorse. Repentance.
And I can still see that. The same if it was yesterday. You know, that's how much it affected me. Said, what am I doing?
You're tender-hearted, Dad.
But that little piece of like shrapnel, you know, clipped that bird.
Just head right off. Huh?
Yeah. And the bird's still sitting there, you know.
But the head is what fell on you?
The head and all fell on me eventually.
Oh.
But the head fell first. And then the bird was just sitting there.
You told me one time you hit a hornet's nest with a slingshot.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
We had hornets have nests. We had thorn trees. We call them bushes. They grow up pretty good size and they had big old thorns on them, about 2 inches long. This hornet's nest is about the size of a gallon jug.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up on the hill above it and flipped a slingshot to go and shoot into it. And I missed it twice. And the third time I shot, I went right straight through it. It's just, made out of paper. What a hornet's nest made out of. And that hornet came back at me, one, and hit me right between the eyes, right there. One hornet. And I was about 300 yards away from the house.
Yeah.
And my eyes were swollen together by the time I got to the house. I couldn't see. I could just tell daylight from dark. That's about all I could see.
That's funny.
I don't know how that one little hornet followed that.
Follow that rock right back at you.
Right back straight and hit me.
What did your mom say
right
about
now.
that?
I mean, it hit hard enough to hurt, and that stinger was already going.
What did your mom say about that?
I don't ever remember her saying anything, since I was too worried about going blind.
Yeah.
That's just to take a spool. A thread came on and make me a tractor. Take a rubber band and a spool, and I could make something that crawl across the floor, crawl across your desk. And, put a little thing on one side of the tractor, and a spool and a rubber band through it. And over here you'd have a longer stick, and you wind it up.
Yeah.
Turn it loose, and it just crawled across the floor.
Who taught you to do that?
I don't know. I can make one in 5 minutes now with a rubber band.
Yeah.
Wouldn't take me that long. Rubber band and a pencil and a spool, and you could just make one and just. You had to use your imagination a little bit.
Use your imagination? Yeah, I guess so.
And every boy had to have a knife. So you had to have a pocket knife. Now, that was all there was to it. You couldn't be a boy without a pocket knife. Because you never could know when you had to cut something. Of course, sometimes that'd get you in trouble. Having a knife in your pocket when you did something you shouldn't, and Dad said, "Go cut me a switch."
I never made my boys cut their own switch. I should have.
One time I
had to
don't know, I
cut
was
my
a
own
teenager.
switch.
I don't know exactly how old I was, but I was old enough to plow a horse, handle a horse. So I know it was in June. It was hot, and I was right above our house, working Dad's big old mare. She had feet that looked like dinner plates. I was hot and she was aggravated, and Dad was working on something else up higher on the hill. And I was screaming and hollering at that horse, and the more I screamed and hollered, well, the worse she got, stepping on everything she shouldn't have. And she didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to do, what to tell her to do in that state. Dad come down the hill and said, "Son, take her out to the plow and tie her to that apple tree right there." Apple tree was about 20 or 30 feet away from the garden. And that's what I was wanting. I didn't want to work. Didn't want to be hot. About the time I got her tied to that tree, Dad jerked one of them big long apple tree sprouts, about 6 foot long. One, you know, in the middle that goes straight up that you're supposed to cut out.
Them suckers, or whatever they call them.
Yeah. And he grabbed me with the arm and he wore me out. I mean, we went around and around and around till that apple tree limb wasn't 2 foot long. And he started, it was about 6. And then he turned around and said, "Son, put her back in the plow." So I put her back in the plow. And I always tell people it was amazing how much that mare learned when I got her whipping. Seemed to me like she just got educated, you know. She knew exactly what to do from then on.
That's funny.
And she would track him, that mare would track Dad just like a hound dog. It was amazing. They had to go up the road. We called it going up the road to see somebody. Then the road was so you could see anybody walking or the car, you know. And they had to stay until about supper time this time, and Mom was getting supper. She told the girls, said, "Go in there, sit at the table," said, "Your dad's home." They looked around, "Where's Dad?" "Dad's not here." "How do you know Dad's home?" And she looked up, pointed up above the garden where the pastor was. Said, "Look at that mare." Said, "She sees him coming down the road." Went to the front door, and sure enough, Dad was walking down the road. And that was, I'd say, a quarter of a mile or more.
Mm-hmm.
And she swatted him.
I didn't know mules could see that good. She probably smelled him or something, maybe.
I don't know, but she knew he's coming.
Yeah.
And more times than one, Dad liked to go squirrel hunting in the evening. And the mare was out in the pasture field, you know. And he said, "Son, go put the mare in the barn." And all I had to do was just show her a ear of corn, and she was ready, you know, to go to the barn. So that's where we fed her. But Dad was gone squirrel hunting for I don't know how long. And I figured it was about time the mare got out, you know. And I went and turned her out, and she come to the very spot that Dad left the house when he got in the pasture where she was. And she tracked him to where he was sitting in the woods, watching for a squirrel. I mean, just her nose right on the ground, just like a hound dog. And of course, I learned a lesson there too.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till Dad comes home before you turn the mare out.
Yeah. Huh.
He was had some good times and bad, boys. That's, I guess you have to. If you do wrong, you can't get by. When I started to tell you a while ago, I'll clean it up a little bit. On Sundays, when I was a boy, I'd go to church. And I had a lot of friends, you know, my age, boys and girls. And somebody would always ask me to go home with them for dinner or lunch, you know, after church service. And sometimes I'd go, and sometimes I'd say, "Well, I got to go home," you know. This one particular time, more than once, I'd gone to their house, you know, for lunch after church. Now, the woman was a widow woman, and she had, he died and left her with about 4, 5, or 6, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 teenagers, and a couple that was older. And just so happens that the preacher went home with her that day for his lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to sit at the table. She fixed a roaring feast. And she's got, we all sit down, and this boy, he was about 4 or 5 years older than me. And meaner than a snake. And he said, "Mama, can I say grace today?" And she looked at him. I was sitting to the end of the table. And she looked at him, and I know she was suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's something that. And she said, finally, "Yeah, yes, son." His name was Franklin. Franklin Dingus is his name. Dingus, yeah. And we all bowed our head, waiting for it. I had an eye open on him. I was kind of watching him because I knew his reputation. And he got everybody quiet. And you never heard such a curse come out of anybody's mouth, for that matter. And he ended that curse, "Then let's eat." And whenever he said, "Let's eat," he hit the door. I mean, he went out the door like a streak. And his mama right after him. She was going to chastise him severely, but she never did catch him. She might have caught him later, but she didn't catch him that day. I mean, he cursed the biggest curse you ever heard. You know. We had a gathering corn. You know, they raise a lot of corn to feed their livestock, the pigs and horses and whatever. And you didn't want the stalks, you wanted the corn, you know, your corn.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the frost came and it got brown, you know, and brittle, we go through the field, each man would take a roll of corn and he'd break off the ear and throw it toward a pile. You know, everybody throw it toward that pile. And when you come to the pile, the mist where you kind of rounded it up and kept it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that same boy, he would catch his mama's in the field with us.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, myself, and I don't know, there's about 5 of us. And he'd pull off a ear of corn and throw it any direction he wanted to, just as far as he could throw it. And his mama would get a switch and she'd wear him out. I mean, she'd whip him like whipping a horse. Now to get back and do it, and he'd go in the 5th ear or 4th ear that he pulled off, in case they were not looking, it went the same way. So you can tell what kind of he wound up in the Navy, Master Chief. Married my first cousin. She's about bad at cuss as he was. And they both are alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
They deserved each other. But I can still see him going through the. Dad used to go plow, and he had a couple of horses, and he'd load them up sometime in a sled and sometime in a wagon, and he'd go up to this feller's house and or up to his farm and plow all day in the fields, you know. I'd go with him when he let me, play around the edge of the field, and throw rocks. Anyhow, his wife had a son, or maybe some of her relatives. I don't know exactly how it was. But he was mean. He was meaner than a snake. He went to school when I did. When it come Easter, everybody on Friday before Easter, everybody would bring some boiled eggs to school. They'd put them all in a big basket, and then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, why, they'd take them eggs and hide them all the way. They'd spread them out for a half a mile down the road, hide them, and everybody go egg hunting. Well, old Edward Cooper knew better than to ask Gilbert Baker for some eggs, because Gilbert was a tightwad. He wouldn't give her. Yeah. Anyway, he found a hen's nest. He had setting hen. And on the way to school, he got the eggs, put them in a tin can, and boiled them. Brought them and put them in the pile with the rest of the eggs. Of course, whenever they got down to hiding them and eating them, they'd find that egg and eat it. Open it up, and there was a little chicken. So that kind of spoiled everybody's appetite.
Yeah, I bet so.
Maybe so.
But I learned there's people in the world that like their chicken that way.
I've heard of that, yeah.
On the Philippines, they call them balutes. Balutes. And they take them and incubate them so many days, then they'd boil them, and that was their lunch. We had them work on the base there, Filipinos, that and a little chunk of rice that they'd fix, and they'd bring them, and I know they did because I caught them at it. We had someone working in a building, the barracks where I live, and they was sitting in the latrine eating their lunch, and I come in to relieve myself at the lunchtime and walked in on them. And they were sitting on a little bench there in the latrine eating their balutes. It wasn't a pretty sight.
Yeah. Sounds pretty nasty.
And if you wanted to start a fight with somebody American, they call them a balut eater. A balut eater, and buddy, they'd raise their hackle faster than you could defend yourself. Seen a lot of fights that way. Either about half drunk, call the other fellow a balut eater.
That's funny.
Mm. Did I tell you the other night about conning my uncle into giving me some moonshine?
No, I don't think I've heard this one.
His wife and my mother are sisters. Actually, she's the one that saved my life when I was born. The other twin, my grandma Meade, when he was born, said, lay him up on a table, he won't be worth nothing anyhow, 4 pounds, Well, whenever you have a premature birth, it takes longer to, for the baby to be born than it does if they're full 9 months.
Right.
And by the time I come along, well, my aunt Vesty was her name. She was there to supervise, and that she saved my life. She gave me some of her milk because she had a baby that she's feeding. And that was my first taste of anything in the world was her milk. And I grew up knowing that, and to me, she was my second mama. I mean, I loved her like you wouldn't believe. And her husband, his name was Furl Boggs. He'd been in prison twice for making liquor, moonshine. And I've been over to see him. It's getting about dark, and he was out. The barn was out from my house, and I had to pass the barn to get across the hill where I live. I said, Uncle Harold, I'd like to have some of your whiskey. I said, I don't want the kind you sell. I like some that you drink yourself. He looked down at me and said, Walton, if I give you this whiskey or sold you whiskey, your mother would kill me. And I said, Uncle Harold, I don't like to tell her. She'll never know. And I convinced him that Mom would never know. You know. And then he said, well, wait here. He was good. He took off down and below his house. So, I guess he'd gone 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. He come back with a mason jar, a half pint. Mason jar, just, you know. It might have been a whole pint. I guess a whole pint. And said, here, I said, now, I don't know if he gave me any advice or not, but he handed it to me. And I stuck that in my pocket. Across the hill I went. Took me about, I'd say 45 minutes to cross this one and then down the other side, or maybe a little longer. I run into 3 of my friends. It was on a Saturday, and they was having Saturday night church there where I went to church. Of course, they were standing outside and talking to each other. Of course, I couldn't help but brag a little bit. You know, here I got me some moonshine, and you don't have any moonshine. You know, I pulled it out. They said, "Let me see that." I pulled it out of my pocket. Old boy took it and took the lid off and smelled it and took a big drink, and they passed it around. Well, they neglected to pass it back to me. I'll put it that way. Passed it around again, and it's all gone.
Right.
And I conned Furl Boggs out of that whiskey, and they conned me. And I never did get a taste of it. Until this day, I have never had a taste of moonshine. I smelled it, and that was the most vile smell that I ever smelled. I never got that killed my desire right there. Ever
Just smelling it?
smell it, smell the empty thing.
Right.
Killed my desire to ever want to drink a moonshine.
Did you know about a lot of moonshiners back in the day?
Pardon?
Did you know about a lot of moonshiners back in the day?
In 1946, I was 16 years old. And when you got to be 16 in Wise County, you didn't have to go to school. It wasn't required. You 16, you could stay at home and do whatever you wanted to. Well, I got to be 16. I started school in August. And I was 16 on the 7th day of August. and I quit.
Mhm.
And stayed in the woods when I could. Every Saturday, and the time that I wasn't working, Dad worked me like a mule, because he's trying to teach me a lesson, and he finally got around to doing it. And I was in the woods from daylight till dark, and I could take you to about 12 stills. And one of them was in almost shotgun distance from where our house was.
Oh, really?
Their neighbor had this big, I don't know, they had 100 acres or more. Had nothing on it, and but brush and some grassy spots. And Dad made an agreement with him to pay him so much a month if we could run our cow, milk cow, in his field. Well, she'd get lost, and I'd have to go hunt her about every evening. She was easy found, but she wouldn't come in without you drove her. And she come in one day by herself at milking time, and she was wobbly. And she got into their mash and helped herself. And she was drunker than a skunk. I mean, she would wobble and look at her eyes, it's kind of glassy. But I milked her anyhow. And that was one still. Another one, it was inside of our house, but it was hidden in the trees. And Daddy's cousin Earl had one arm, the other had been shot off. His younger brother or older brother let off a shotgun, blowed it up, and they had to take his arm off. He was making whiskey. I don't know how many people was helping him, but that one arm, he could do most anything he wanted. Well, he was out on the point there where they had his still place, and his dog followed him. Well, he couldn't have his dog run around still, so he tied him to a tree, to keep him. Well, the revenuers already spotted the still, and they're just waiting till the people got busy. And all of a sudden, here was the revenuers. He couldn't complain because, hey, that's my dog, and it's got a collar on it, it's got my name on it. They sent the rest of the people to, I guess, 6-8 months prison time, But they turned him loose there. They wouldn't take him because he's only had one arm. Little things like that pass through your mind,
Yeah.
I come down, I was out hunting, and I'd been gone all day, left, and I don't know how many still places I'd passed, Some of them was working, they'd hear me coming, they'd hide, and I'd just go on just like I'd never seen the place, I didn't even, wouldn't even stop to investigate, I'd just go on. And come down this hill, and it's getting pretty dark, and the squirrel, I hadn't shot anything all day, because I was very careful. If I shot it, I had to take it home, and I didn't like that. So you go hunting and hope you don't see anything, And I come down this hill and into a little flat, and there's water holes everywhere, About 6 foot down there's water. Over here 20 feet later, there's a ditch water in the bottom, little, and it was just honeycombed with the little springs coming out of there. And I was coming down through that kind of meandering along, trying to stay out of the, and all of I come up to one of this kind of, a ditch was higher than my head. And down in that ditch was a still. It was going full blast. Just before that, I'd shot at a squirrel. Oh, I'd say 100 yards away from it. I didn't kill it. And when I come up on that, I just stopped and I was just about to step in it, It was down, you couldn't see it. All the glow of the water, the fire. Wasn't a soul around. Everybody, when they heard me shoot, they hid. And I said, what am I going to do now? I know the people that's running this will know who I am.
Yeah.
And I said out loud, ma'am, I don't know you. I don't want to know you. But I said, if you want me to tell, if you think, this is how it was. I said, I don't know you, and I don't want to know you. But if they ask me if I know about this still, I'll tell them I don't. And I just meandered on out down the holler, and nothing was ever said. And I know good and well they knew me. Like if I'd have seen them, I'd have known them. No retribution at all in my heart. They just took my word for it, I reckon. So
He's just afraid of AC is what they're afraid of.
could have been.
They said, that's AC's boy right there. We better.
My dad was a he-man.
Cut and run.
Did I tell him about him getting mad at
I don't know.
somebody that insulted Mama?
I don't know if you ever told him or not.
So, I don't remember that story now.
Dad and Mom got married, the best I can tell, about 1925. Because Junior, my older brother, was born in 1926. Of course, they might have got married before that, but at least they were married in 1926. They were going to church one Saturday evening. And Dad and Mom was together. This is the story that I got. I wasn't there. I just had to hear it. But it always sounded the same, no matter who told it. And Dad run into two of his cousins, and they stopped to talk. And Mom went with some women that was there on to church building, which was about 100 yards or so. And Dad continued to talk to his friends, and then somebody come back and told him that this man had insulted his wife. They hadn't been married long. Of course, you'd have to know Dad. He had instant fire in his eye. Whether it was against a horse or a person or a job or something like that. He flew mad. And one of the men who he was Powers, his name was Hadley Powers. In fact, he was a first cousin to Oliver Powers, my father-in-law. Didn't know it at the time, that's way back when. And but there was a man in Texas about that time called Kenny Wagner. who was a bad man. He'd shot a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's reported that he shot a man for snoring. And he shot a man for spitting on the street, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was the story. Where it happened, who knows.
Right.
Well, Hadley Powers wanted, he was carried a gun. And he wanted everybody to call him Kenny. Kenny Wagner. Called him Kenny after Kenny Wagner.
Right.
Dad went up to him. He's standing there. Hadley was there with two of his brothers. Dad walked up to him and said, "What's this I hear about you insulting my wife?" And the insult was, he'd ask her, Hadley Powers had asked her, "How you like being married, Rip?" So Repta was her name, and everybody called her Rip. "How many children are you gonna have?"
Mm-hmm.
She went on, you know, and ignored it. Dad walked up and said, "What is it you said about my wife?" Oh, he said, I didn't say anything. He said, "That ain't the way I heard it." And hit him one time under the chin. Knocked him colder than cold. And his two brothers started Dad, you know. Dad said, "Boys, you better pick him up and take him home. If you don't, what he got?" That was the end of the story. They took him home. I don't know how strong Dad was at the time, but he'd have been about 20. He was born in 1904, so he'd have been about 20, 21, 22. He was strong enough that I seen him take the nose of a horse and the ear. Horse would weigh about 1,200 pounds, and to put him on the ground. Twist his head and throw him on the ground. And him with a harness on.
You digging into it? Wow. You digging into it?
After I got in the Air Force, come home, Dad told me, "Son, so tomorrow I want you to help me something. We had some job you want me to do." Well, I was enjoying being in my own bed for a change, you know, instead of a bunk. And I was sleeping late. He come in the room. He says, "Son, I thought you were going to help me today." I said, "Oh, I will." And I acted like I didn't want to get up.
Mm-hmm.
And he reached in and got my big toe between his fingers. And he walked off with me. And you talk about a fella following his big toe right now. I did. I mean, he just walked off with my big toe and between his fingers. Now that was, he was insulting the U.S. Air Force.
Yeah.
But he was a strict man, but he's fair. But you know, I have one regret with him, and I think about it quite often now that I got old. I never did tell him I loved him. It's just something you didn't do then, you know. Just said, "Dad, I love you." It never entered my mind to tell him that. I just took it for granted. And another thing too, I never saw him put his arms around my mama, hug her.
Mm-hmm.
But he's bound to, because he had 13 children.
Yeah.
I can't say that. Their daddy hugs me.
We used to, on Saturday nights, not every Saturday, but once in a while, we had a Church of God of Prophecy. We wouldn't go from our house, we'd go to our uncle's house. Or lived over to foot of Red Onion Mountain. Just before you go up, start at Arthur, Uncle Arthur. And then we'd walk from there down to the Mill Creek road going over to where we live. And that's where the Church of God hung out. And we went there on Saturday night for entertainment. We'd sit in the back row, wouldn't go up front. Maybe 2 or 3 of us, my family, and 2 or 3 of Arthur's family, girls. We'd sneak in the back door and sit there real quiet, And they'd get started. And what's his name? Johnny Tompkins, his daddy.
Over.
No, not Holbert.
Went
Went
yeah.
Tompkins. Played the banjo.
Yeah.
Oh, he was good at it too. And Went told me, he said, when you go in that night, they tell him, now play us a good hot tune, so we can get started or get the spirit or whatever. And we go and he'd play a few songs, and that banjo ringing, and first thing you know, all kinds of things were happening. People getting into shape and twisting, wallowing on the floor, and moaning and groaning and kicking high and climbing the walls and walking the seats and everything. And they'd get so bad, they had a curtain they made out of sheets, and they'd close that curtain to the big audience, like we couldn't see what was going on.
Oh wow.
And they were all moaning and groaning and gyrating. I don't know what they were doing. And that was their entertainment on Saturday night sometimes. And it scared you. I mean, it's what they were doing is it actually made you afraid. You get the fear that it's going to spill out on you. They had a fellow named Ernest Fleming. He was a leader. And they said he climbed a wall. He could climb a wall. When you got to feel the spirit, just climb up the wall. That was part of the entertainment, to keep the boys scared.
Remember you telling me you used to listen to the radio all the time. You rigged up some kind of radio system you could listen to.
Yeah, I had a stereo system before that. The rest of the people ever thought about a stereo.
Tell us about that. That's funny. That's interesting.
We got I don't remember, I was about 13 whenever we got, let's say 1943, when they put power up Volcano. And Daddy's, actually it was Daddy's uncle, but Daddy's a whole lot older than he was. It was Solomon Old Mead's son by his second wife got into the radio business. First off, you had to have an antenna. I think it's 45 foot long. It had to be exact antenna. And battery operated radios, dry cell radio batteries, big batteries, they that big, but the dry cell, once they you couldn't recharge them. And when we got power up there, he converted, or maybe he had one. I don't know how he got it, but the thing the radio had legs on it, set up like a cabinet, and Dad bought it, put it in the house when we got power. Had electricity, one light bulb in the room, you reach up and pull the string. Next room had a light bulb in it, and you pull the string. Nobody had a switch on the wall, you just pulled the string. And he had a lot of radios that had speakers, you know, that he'd discarded the rest of the radio and just had the speaker. And I conned him out of some, 2, 3. And I had the radio in the living room, and I had a speaker outside on the porch, and I had a speaker in my room, my bedroom. Way back before stereo, I guess. Dad liked to listen to the news while he's sitting out on the porch. I could unhook any speaker I wanted, you know. I could turn it on, have the speaker in my room, or in the room where the unit was. I used what they call battery wire, you know. Dad was a shop foreman in the mines, and he'd wind up that a little fine wire that's insulated. He'd bring home 100 yards of it when he wanted it. I used that. Oh, I rigged up the stereo. Dad sat out on the porch and listened to the news. Amos and Andy, Lum and Abner.
What kind of music did y'all listen to?
Hmm?
What kind of music?
It's country music, but I could get from Del Rio, Texas. You get a station that played country music, and from Wheeling, West Virginia, they had what they call a 50,000 watt clear station. You could get country music. And then from New Orleans, you get jazz. The first Louis Armstrong type jazz, you know. So it's just according to which one I wanted to listen to at the time, or which one they let me listen to. So I had stereo a long time before they ever published it. I went into business for myself then. Look how rich I'd have been.
Yeah. Yeah, you should have stole it out, set that up for other people, made some money. What'd you prefer, the country music or the jazz?
That is just according to which mood I was in. The jazz, you get some from St. Louis, and then you get some from New Orleans. It's different.
Yeah.
And Mom would come through and turn that stuff off. Sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. So. I was just playing around, you know, learning how to do things. Inquisitive.
I remember you telling me about that schoolhouse y'all went to,
That what?
that school you went to up there on Bow Camp.
Store?
The school y'all
School.
went to, yeah. You
The
told me that
Johnson
was a
school?
1-2, yeah, something like you told me about it a bunch of times about
Oh.
that school, about the one. I don't know.
I was
Carmen
a little
McCoy.
squirt going to Dotson School.
Yeah.
We had a teacher that lived over Mullins Creek, and he'd come across the hill through Uncle John's yard and go around through the pasture field to get to school. He walked, you know.
Yeah.
And many of the time he carried me to school. I'd get over to John's house, and, you know, we had snow or whatever, and he'd come on, he'd pick me up and carry me all the way to the schoolhouse. I was the least thing there, and everybody whipped me. They loved to fight with me,
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't fight. Didn't know how. Finally, about the 5th grade, teacher let me out 5 minutes early so I could get off the road before the rest of the people caught me. And then sometimes they caught me anyhow, thumped me a little bit. Junior, my older brother, I reckon he had a fight every day. Get down off the school ground behind a woman's store. They'd fight a while, then they'd go home.
But you eventually growed up, didn't you?
What?
I said you eventually growed up. Got big. I mean, you know, you weren't always pictured.
First thing you know, I'm bigger than anybody in my family. Taller, weighed more. Started out the least.
Now your mama, grandma told me that she always used to say this. She'd hold her hands up there like that, and she'd say, "Your daddy, when he was born, he wasn't no bigger than a butter knife." She'd say, "He wasn't no bigger than a butter knife." And
Well,
you turned into.
Mom said my length was exactly the length of a table knife.
Yeah.
She used at the table.
That's what she told me.
She had a sewing machine that had drawers on it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And she said she had a little drawer about so big. Said I could fit in that little drawer. You know, where she kept her needles
I
and
can
thread.
imagine that's a pretty small drawer too.
3 pounds and a half.
3.5 pounds. How much you weighed? Do you know how premature you was?
Hmm?
I said, do you know how premature you was? How many months you like?
7 months.
7 months. Okay, so.
That's what they said. I don't know.
That's a miracle.
And I remember, I think it was one of your sisters told me that your aunt Bestie grabbed you up and put you in a wood coal oven to keep you warm while they tended to your mama because she was pretty
Put
bad.
me on a
Cold stove.
Cook stove oven door.
Yeah.
And let the heat come out on me, you know, from my oven door.
Yeah.
Then whenever I twisted around enough, she gave me some of her milk.
Mm-hmm.
She had a girl that was, she's a few months older than me,
Mm-hmm.
naturally. And she got some of her milk and put it on a cloth and let it drip into my mouth, you know.
Mhm.
Or don't want to let it drip into my mouth.
Yeah.
I was too small to nurse, but I could swallow. And that's the way she fed me at first. Put the cloth
Uh-huh.
and put the little milk, her milk on it and let it into my mouth.
Wow.
So you can understand why I was partial to my Aunt Bestie.
Yeah. I remember visiting her when I was little. Or when you took us up there, I met her.
She was.
I remember she was making shuck beans in there, and
She
I remember
was
the smell. That's what I remember.
She was a good little woman.
Yeah.
I don't know how
like
she
her.
put up with furrow and making liquor all the time. And I'll bet you $1 that she never quarreled at him one instant for what he was doing. As far as she was concerned, he was doing what he wanted to do, and she wasn't about to tell him no. I mean, that was the way they went. She never tried to chastise him or change his ways. You know, he's just a big old rough man, you know, and didn't have much to say about to anybody. You know, he just went his way and did his thing and let you do yours. One thing though, that his oldest boy, Edison, they drafted him in the Army, World War II. And he come home on leave and never did go back. They stayed, called it scouting the whole length of the war, and made liquor all the time, I guess, you know. Slept day during the day and made liquor at night. Of all things, though, he wound up some kind of a preacher. I don't know what he preached or anything. But
So you were what? 13 when the war broke out, or you were about what? 11, 12 when the war started? World War II.
I was 11.
11, yeah.
1941. Well, actually, I wasn't 11 until August.
Mm-hmm. So you were 10. What do you remember about that? Do you remember anything good or anything?
I remember all the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. What's a Pearl Harbor? You know,
I never know they made harbors out of pearl.
I never saw Pearl Harbor. What is Pearl Harbor? And I don't think anybody else in the school at that time, you know, ever heard of Pearl Harbor. I remember we was all out on the playground after the war started. We were talking about it on ourselves. What's a Pearl Harbor? What's a war? What do they mean? You know, we're as ignorant as a.
I remember you told me one time about the Depression, and I think it was you, and I think I remember this right. I don't know, but you said something like, when you didn't know y'all were poor. He says y'all weren't poor, y'all just didn't have any money, or something like that. And what do you think?
We didn't know we was poor until the government come and told us we were poor.
Right.
Well, you ought to have this. You ought to have here. Take this. Take these this cheese and take this pecans and take this false butter and take this powdered milk and black-eyed peas. Yeah, give us some of them black-eyed peas.
But y'all grew all kinds of food out there on the farm.
And we raised more. We lived better than most people.
Yeah.
As poor as we were, I'd say that we lived better than most city folks.
Yeah.
At that time, had more to eat, more nutritious food. You know, because we raised our own. We had potatoes hanging out of our ears. We wanted. we grew cane and made molasses.
Yeah.
And I can't ever remember us not having a big jug or two of molasses. You know, sweeten everything with, make cake and pies and stuff with molasses. It's just Grapefruit, they give us grapefruit. We didn't know what to do with them. We played ball with them till they busted.
That's interesting.
On Friday evening, on Friday they'd come around to school, Dotson School, and they'd have this big old hoop of cheese, that big.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was about 4 inches thick. And then to have pecans shelled. I don't know how many of them, but you get a pint cup full. You put the paper on your desk and the teacher would come around and give you a pint of pecans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Junior, Odie, myself, and Billy. And we'd get 4 pints pecans to take home.
Mm-hmm.
But we eat pecans till we bust and then start over. Cheese, a wedge of cheese that thick.
Yeah.
And we'd have 4 big wedges.
Mm-hmm.
To put them together, they'd be a piece of cheese that big, and that high, about 4 inches high, and cut like pie shapes.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd give it to Grandpa and Grandma, and all the black-eyed peas you'd get. They loved them. I couldn't stand to smell them.
Mm-hmm.
We give them all the black-eyed peas we got. We lived like kings. Didn't know it. Didn't know we was poor. I could buy a shirt now. Shirt is a blue shirt. They called it a blue chambray shirt. Buttons up the front. And a pair of bibbed overalls. Cost $1.25.
$1.25.
You can't even buy the buttons off one for that. And we pick berries, blackberries, and when there's in the summer when they got ripe, huckleberries, and sell them. We get 25 cents a gallon for blackberries, and you can't. I don't know how long it takes to pick a gallon of blackberries. But we'd hit the field and Mom would sell them. We'd sell them everywhere. She'd take them to Jenkins and sell them to the miners' wives, over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we bought our clothes with. Go to school, books. You had to buy your own books then. They didn't furnish them. Huckleberries, you get 50 cents a gallon for them.
Both of those grow wild around here?
Hmm?
Do they grow wild, or did y'all have to
They're
cultivate? I thought so. When I grew up, we picked blackberries, but I
They're
wasn't
different
sure.
than blueberries.
Yeah.
It didn't grow as high. And
The huckleberries, you mean, or the?
Yeah, huckleberry. You can buy blueberries in the store, they're that big.
Uh-huh.
But the huckleberries is only half that big and different color. They're darker, almost black, and some of them was, this shades of blue and black,
Y'all raised all your own meat on the farm too, I guess, didn't you?
We always had pigs, chickens. We raised beef too, but we always sold that. Somebody to. I never tasted. I don't ever remember tasting a piece of steak until I was grown.
Yeah.
Really. Always had pork and chicken and wild game, squirrel, whatever. The first beef we ate was from Uncle Dewey's cow. He had a little barn above his house, and They had a slit. You know, it was made of boards, you know, and it slit up here, but it come down to nothing down here, you know. And the cow would get in the little barn, she'd stick her head through that hole. You know, it was big enough for her head to go through.
Yeah.
And her feet slipped on the ice
Yeah.
after she urinated in her barn. And she got down and couldn't get up and broke her neck. And Dewey said, Ace, come and get her, I can't eat her. So Dad went and hauled her off and skinned her out. That was the first beef I ever remember eating.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I still don't like it. You know, I eat it, but there's something about it.
You just don't care for it.
Hmm?
You just don't like it.
I just don't like the taste. I'll eat it, you know, a hamburger. Once in a while they'll order a steak and I can eat it, but it seems like when I chew it, it just gets bigger, you know, in my mouth. I'd have to I go veggie. I'm a veggie.
Tell me that time. I want to hear this time. I want to hear the story again about that time Junior always picked on you and you finally got him back.
Oh yeah. He got home from the army. They discharged him, you know, war's over. That 1947, I guess. I was 46, 47. I was 16 or 17 years old. And he'd always overpowered me. When he wanted something, he'd take it and all that, you know. But he didn't treat me mean. It's just a way. Dad had made a rock sled. And we're picking up rocks off of the field there where Suzanne lives. And taking them down to the edge of the bank and dumping them over. The rocks are laying on top of the ground. You didn't have to dig them out. There are not many of them. You just pick them up. Junior was helping. I'd catch him in the right place and I'd throw a rock on the sled and make it bounce toward him. And I never did hit him with one. I just made him move out of the way. Made sure he was seeing me throw it before I did, so he could move. And he knew what I was doing. And he said, boy, I'll teach you a lesson. He came at me. We wrestled around a while. He'd been laying out with who knows who, you know, after he got out of the army. I'd been building up muscles. So we wrestled a while, and finally, I could handle him anywhere. I could pick him up, get his feet off the ground. He couldn't do a thing. I just get him up. I run my hand around his back, through his elbow here, and get a hold of his elbow and just pick him up like that, you know. And I had him locked. He couldn't. And he was squirming and fussing. Dad just ignored us. He just went on and emptied the sled and come back and was filling it up again. We were still antagonist. Finally, I got him down on his back. I just picked him up and laid him down is what I done. And just got on top of him. He was wore out. I mean, and I had his hands up like this, holding him, laying on his back, and he's scooting. Ruined his watch. He had a watch on and scarred the crystal. So you couldn't tell what time it was.
Yeah.
And Dad never said a word. He just kept on working. Finally, I got up and Junior went in the house and got in his car and left. I continued to help Dad, you know. Dad never said, "Good boy, you shouldn't have done that," or not one thing did he ever chastise me for that. I just ignored it, really. Junior never tried to boss me again. Never, I mean, I don't know if he respected me, hated me, or what, but I weighed about, I guess, about 185 pounds then.
Yeah.
But I'd worked on the farm while he was doing his army thing,
He just
pushing up hay and plowing. And you don't know how much muscles you build. You take an old turning plow back across the field back and turn it and lift it and tug it to get it to go in the right way. And after a while, it just becomes second nature. You know, you're not aware that it's wearing you out. About half of the way through a day, or it's easy. You know, you just. But I wouldn't want to do it now.
Yeah. So did you know Mom yet?
Hmm?
Did you know Mom yet then? When that happened, did you know Mom? Did you know Mom? Did you know Mother? Like
Yeah.
your wife Joanne, you knew her that.
Yeah.
So when did you meet her?
I was in the 10th grade
Oh.
and she was in the 7th.
Mhm.
They just moved from Grundy to Pound and started school. At that time, they didn't have enough teachers, and if you was in the 10th grade, they let the 10th grader keep study hall for the lesser grades, you know. And I got to teaching. I mean, staying in they had Quonset huts out there on the field, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have room enough for all the students in the building, so they had Quonset huts. And she was in 7th grade in the Quonset hut, and I was keeping study hall for one period of the day. And that's where I met her. Her sister, Janice, was older, but she didn't come from Grundy until she'd finished over there.
Yeah.
That semester or whatever. It was I can't remember first, you know, I just become aware of her being there.
Mm-hmm.
And she had that long curly hair, and, you know, and at that particular time, they started allowing the girls to come to school with pants on. Up until then, you know, they had to wear dresses.
Mm-hmm.
And she wore overalls like I got on.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the girls did just, you know, to show that they could, I guess.
Yeah.
Remember, one girl, tell you how strict it was. They had this girl, Mary Ethel Blevins. She was a pretty girl, but she thought she's prettier than what she really was. You know what I mean?
I think I know her.
You met them kind?
Yeah, I think I met her.
And she wore her pants to school, and she had a kind of funny blouse on. It kind of ruffled around her neck, you know, all day, and that I believe it had long sleeves, but I'm not sure. And so when the school ended, you come out the door And you had to walk down so far, then you this way and then this way to get off the playground, you know. And she got out of school, and that blouse somehow or another slipped down to about right there on her. You know, had a thing around her neck, here like this. And when she pulled it off, showed about top of her shoulders. The principal, Mr. Orby M. Morris, saw her, and he expelled her for a week.
Wow.
Because she showed her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't do that in that school at that time.
So when did you and Mom start dating?
I guess when I was a senior. That would have been about right time. I used to come to the pound. They had a telephone, we didn't, over the mountain. And I'd talk to her on the telephone from the cafe there, Pound Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of times, I don't know how many, I don't know. On Saturday evening, I'd be down and right over there with Oliver. You know, he'd stop at the market to buy a loaf of bread or something other, you know. I'd ask him, yeah, get in the car, you know, get in the truck. And I'd ride in the back of the truck over, stay till about midnight, then walk home. I don't know, that didn't happen many times, you know. Then, I don't know, it's just one thing led to another.
Yeah, same old story. They, you told me you used to ride a mule over there.
Horse.
A horse, was it?
Old Bob Horse. He was the stubbornest thing that ever lived.
That's saying a lot, considering he's saying it.
He's the one Dad put down with his nose and his ear.
Yeah.
He's about 1,200 pounds. And he'd work like a demon till he didn't want to go, and you couldn't make him go.
Right.
Or you thought you couldn't until Dad got a hold of him.
Right.
And he was glad to go after Dad got through it. And one time I put a saddle on him and rode over there and stayed all night. Ready to. Jack and Jean wasn't home then. They'd gone somewhere, and I slept down in Jack's house, Jack and Jean's house. Come home. It's on a Saturday, and then I'd come home on Sunday. Of course, Dad and Mom knew where I was, you know, the horse. I'd kind of forgotten that. It's been a long time ago.
So you saying it wasn't necessarily love at first sight with Mom?
Nah.
I remember getting her side of the story, and she was like, "Oh, he pursued me," and I had to decide whether or not that was the one. She was teasing.
I don't know what made me think she was the one.
Well, I'm looking at that picture over there, and I got a guess.
Yeah. She was a good-looking woman.
So when did you, so after you proposed to her, when did you propose to her?
I was in the Air Force.
Oh, so you sent her a letter or something? Wait a minute, I gotta get this.
You think I'm going to ask her point blank and me sitting in front of her? I wasn't about to take.
So I ain't never heard this part of the story, so I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this.
No, I just wrote and asked her would she like to be the wife of an airman.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote my back, yeah.
That's all she put in the letter. Yes or yeah? Was it yeah or yes?
Yes. We did by letters.
Yeah,
wrote-
I understand.
I was in Biloxi, Mississippi. I'd been in the Air Force for.
Did y'all keep that letter?
Huh?
Did you keep that letter? Did Mom keep it?
I don't know. I didn't.
yeah.
I didn't want to be incriminated.
In case her daddy found out.
I just asked her would she like to be the wife of an airman.
Or what she probably sent back saying, well, if you know anybody.
I don't know what she said. She said yes, and I bought a ring and sent it. I think I sent it to her in a letter. I don't remember. Been a long time ago. So.
Is that the same set of rings you're wearing right there?
That's I wore the one that she gave me. I wore it out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't. And I bought this I guess 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And after she died, I said, well, I've worn it for 70 years. What?
Mm-hmm.
I had one that when I carry in the mail, I'd hang it on the mailbox, and I kept my top part of my finger there skinned because it
Catch on it. Yeah.
It had a sharp edge on it. For a long time, I didn't wear any because of that.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. If I'd have got my finger caught on that box and my foot slipped off the clutch, well, I'd have been either lose a finger or. So a long time I didn't even wear one.
Did she wear the one you sent her in the mail all those years? Is that the one that
That's the one she
was
buried.
wearing? Yeah,
That's the one she buried with.
That's very sweet.
Mark Sturgill said, "Do you want the ring?" I said, "I gave it to her. It's hers. She's going to keep it."
Yeah.
I don't know if he took it. It wasn't worth that much. It wasn't very expensive. And I don't know where he took it off or left it on.
So you caught a train from Biloxi, and you come up here to Wise. And so tell us how y'all
Well,
got
it was a
married.
bus.
It was a bus.
It was a bus.
Oh, a bus, not a train. I got it.
And we were going to get married on Christmas Day,
Mm-hmm.
but forgot to get the license.
Uh,
We'd had to get the license. The courthouse was closed on Christmas Day. We couldn't get the license.
right.
And we had to wait till the day after Christmas. And it was raining. And Mom was... I don't know how to explain Mom's attitude at the time. She just knew that I was making the biggest mistake anybody ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
Well, we're all here,
You're all here.
but it wouldn't have been.
I
if it wasn't for this.
like what I got now. Let's put it this way. It was raining, not heavy, just misty. And it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
Junior, my brother, brought us over to the courthouse. And I don't know who Joanne's mother came with, but she was here too. Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. None. We were just realizing you need to do something.
Yeah, get around to it. It's right there.
We went in and got the license, and if we'd have known it, all we'd had to do was tell the clerk we want to get married, and we'd got married right then and there. Wouldn't need a preacher. But while we was doing that, Junior went out and found a preacher
Mm-hmm.
right down behind the courthouse. And whenever we come out the courthouse, or he walked down, really. Down to his house. He was ready for us, and we stood out on the porch. He had a little porch there, and he's inside his house. He didn't come out, and went through the necessary things. And said, "Now you're man and wife." And I reached in my pocket. I knew I ought to pay him something, you know, for it. I had a $10 bill. That's all the money I had in the world. $10. One $10 bill. And I gave it to him. And he closed the door and we walked away and went home. 2 or 3 days later, I was with Mom. She said, "How much did you give that preacher?" I said, $10. She said, "That was too much." I'll never forget that. That was too much. And what was his last name? Stradley. What was his first name? Something Stradley. Middle initial, I think, was P. I can't remember.
At least you guys will be able to remember your preacher's name.
What was that guy's name again?
I don't know if he's a preacher or not, but it worked. So we 70 years.
Yeah.
John got to marry the boys.
Yep.
That's a long time. And
Yep.
how do you know? You haven't lived 70 years.
That's a good point.
Getting close.
I want to say Herman, but it wasn't Herman. It was something like a middle name Stradley.
And so, like, how long did y'all stay? Like, y'all, you said a couple of days here, and then y'all she took her right back to Biloxi with you?
See, I always rented an apartment before I come home. You know, we'd already
Right.
planned to get married. And it was a 1-room apartment. And I'd furnish it the best I could, you know.
Yeah.
And some of the silverware I got in there, it's U.S. Air Force on it.
Yeah.
I saw
Or
that.
that's what I purloined from a mess hall.
Yeah, I remember that.
Before I went, you know, before I come home, I got 3 sets,
Mm.
knife, spoon, and fork.
So every time you went in the mess hall, you just took a fork or something.
Well,
It's like,
yeah, that's right. I wrap it up in a napkin and stick it in my pocket. And, you know,
yeah.
I didn't have the money, so what are you going to do?
I steal it from the government, man. That's what I do.
I was giving them a lot of time anyhow and wouldn't get paid for it much.
Hey, you deserved it, man. I was just gonna say.
And we got in Biloxi about midnight on the bus.
Yeah.
And the bus station to the apartment was about Forcing here to probably a little further from here over to Town Hall here. It wasn't, you know, we just walked the bus station to there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember seeing Joanne's reaction to the thing, but the toilet was out on the porch. We wasn't the only ones using it, you know.
Oh, I see.
It was a community affair.
Right.
And one room, we had a hot plate to cook on, and just one burner, hot plate, and had a little refrigerator to hold a couple loaves of bread, about all.
Mm-hmm.
Primitive. So we'd been married I don't know how long, and she decided just up the street from where we were that she found while I was, you know, going to school, she found another apartment that had 3 rooms in it with the same amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, why can't we move in? I said, okay, we move into it. And it's street level. And you could take 3 steps from the street and you was on the porch of the thing. And I didn't like that, you know, because people going to the beach day and night, and airmen, you know, military. Anytime you looked up, somebody was going down the street or one way or the other. And I fussed about it while we moved in. And it was better, you know, we had more space and all. Come home one night and my shift, going to school, I was from 6 o'clock in the evening until midnight. Got off and ate an evening meal at midnight, you know. And I come to the apartment and wasn't nothing between me and the inside but a screen door. She hadn't closed the door, it was just a screen door. She was laying on her bed. No, she wasn't laying on her bed. She was sitting in a chair. And I looked through into her bedroom, and there was a woman laying in it that had long hair spread all over the pillow, you know.
Yeah.
And I got to, well, am I in the wrong house? Am I in the wrong apartment?
Right.
What's going on? Scared me. So, I mean, I'd warned Joanne, you know, keep the door locked because you never know who's going to come by, you know,
Right,
some drunk or whatever. And she woke up or something, and I said, what's going on? She said, oh, it's a deck what's her name? So she didn't have a place to stay tonight, and so I thought she'd come stay with us. I said, yeah, but where am I going to stay? I'm not going to get in the bed of that woman. And come to find out, she'd come down there to marry a feller.
Yeah.
And they got married and got their apartment the next day. But they, every time we turned around, they was showing up at their door.
Yeah.
You know. I didn't care a whole lot for her. Not him either. Come in one night and she was laying in the bed and the screen door was open. It wasn't open, it just wasn't closed. And she was laying on the bed asleep. And I fussed at her for a while. And I said, you should never do this. You close that door. If you don't, anything can happen to you. Well, sometime later, a day or two later, maybe a week, the landlord come in and said, who was that looking in your window last night? Or is somebody looking in your window? Anyhow, they moved some furniture off the porch around under the window, and the shade, instead of coming straight down, it come, you know, they had so much here on one side that you could see through.
Yeah.
And it had rained, and big old muddy footprints in the chair, and somebody looking through the window at her.
Oh, wow.
And the door was
Wide open.
wide open. And I showed her that, and from then on, buddy, I had to knock like crazy to get in the house. She learned her lesson.
I guess growing up in Wise
And
County.
somebody after that was, if the women left their undergarments out on the line dry, they'd wind up the next morning, they were slashed.
That's frightening, isn't it?
And of course, that scared her again. From then on, I had to identify myself with just name, rank, and serial number almost to get in the house.
Yeah. Did y'all have Melinda? She was first. Did y'all have her while y'all were down there?
His medicine clause.
Did I have what?
We have that medicine right there.
You haven't had your medicine yet.
We just realized you ain't had your medicine.
No, I don't need it.
Somebody?
He knows what to do.
He knows.
What's the date today besides
It's Thursday, and you got to do it on the PM side, the noon side.
on the moon side? 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's some water there.
I get it. It's already
Okay.
open.
protect those pills from you.
The first time I know that Joanne was jealous as she was, she got to, I don't know why she couldn't trust me. I never did anything to, in my mind, I never did anything to make her not trust me. But the woman that was in the bed, she and the fella got married. And they had an apartment close by. And he got orders to move, And so they put a bunch of boxes together and he mailed them home. Well, they come by our house or our apartment. And she was complaining about having to carry him to the post office while he was on the base.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'll carry it over there. I'll carry your box to the post office. It wasn't, about forcing here down to the Pizza Hut. The King Pizza down here. So I carried it down there and come back and she was mad as a wet hen. Because I'd spent too long down there. She knowed I was up to some no good.
That's sad.
And that I think that started the whole thing. She didn't trust me with anything. Well, she didn't trust me there. I didn't get that feel.
It's got to be hard. Then you went overseas, I guess, from there, huh? You went from Biloxi straight to the Philippines, or not? Was it Philippines?
No,
yeah, it's
I went
Philippines.
to McCord.
Oh, McCord Air Force Base. I remember. I forgot about that place.
Yeah, I was out there 13 months.
Yeah, that's about how long I was there. I was in Fort Lewis.
Then we moved over to Larson, from McCord to Larson Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
It's over on the other side of the mountain in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't over there 3 weeks. Oh, a little more than that, maybe a month and a half. I was living off the base. Joanne was out there with me then. I was living off the base over in a place called, what was it? Moses Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many miles it was away from the base, but I'd get out on the road in the morning to go to the base.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had a uniform, I had a uniform on, and the next man that come along was going to the base, he'd pick me up.
Mm-hmm.
Same way coming home the evening, to Soap Lake was actually the name of the little town. And they're real nice, They said, well, he's my buddy. Pick him up, and I didn't even have to turn around and thumb. I'd be walking the road, and they just stop. Come on, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But that way, well, Melinda was. She's a little girl then, 3 months, I guess. 4. And I got orders to go overseas and come home for 30 days. And coming home, caught the train coming home from there. Cost me $85 for one fare to come all the way from Soap Lake or Tacoma, or actually McCord, to Watts and Norton. Cost me $160 some to ride the train then. Got on the train and we had to change in Chicago, then change in Cincinnati, And then the one from Cincinnati come all the way to Norton and train.
So what kind of, like, you got my son there, my other son in there somewhere, what kind of advice, based on all your experiences and all the things you learned in all these years, raising an entire family and having an entire career and 30 years of here, I mean, all that stuff, all the growing
What
up in
kind
the
of
Great
advice,
Depression,
Well,
making it through the war, all that stuff you've done all these years, what kind of advice would you give that man right there?
Well, you've asked me a question that's hard to answer. What's good for one person is not necessarily good for the next.
Right.
We all have different desires. We all think differently. What he wants may not be what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I can tell him for sure, in my experience, is follow your instincts. If you think it's right for you to do this, and it's not going to harm you, not going to harm anybody else, go for it. And don't get too involved at first, because you may change your mind. You know, leave room for you to change if you desire. But do what would I wouldn't use instinct. That's not the right word to use. You have to do it on your knowledge of what you're getting into and your desire to go that direction. Now, you can't examine everything, you know, there's too many things out there to examine. You just gotta follow your desire, I guess. If you desire to go one way, or go for it. And make sure that, or make as sure as you can that it's not going to harm you. You see, protect yourself as much as you can. I've taken a lot of chances that I shouldn't have. I got away with it, but I don't know if I had a chance to do things over. I don't know if I'd do it differently. I've enjoyed what I've done. On the little farm over in the mountain where the children was raised, where John was, and all of us of them were. It probably wasn't the most pleasant place in the world, but at that time I thought it was, and I still do. I think I enjoyed that more than any place I've ever been, raising my children over in the mountain. We had plenty to eat. They didn't go hungry. They didn't go cold. They might not have had the best clothes in the world, but they was clothed. And they seemed to appreciate it. That's the big thing, you know. And I'll put it this way. If I got an enemy out there, or somebody that doesn't like what I'm doing, or doesn't like me, or respect me, I don't know about it. Because I've been friends with everybody I could, and they've been friendly to me. And that's the way I feel about it. You gotta, I don't think one person could tell another person how you ought to live. It's just not possible. There's too many, how you say, nicks or place to get into, which way to go. You know, you gotta sit back and look at them before you jump. You know, and then if it doesn't suit you, get out of it if you can, as quick as you can. Don't drag it out. Just don't be miserable. If you're doing something that you don't like, it's misery. And but I've done things I didn't like because it was required. I look back on it and say, well, it wasn't so bad after all. I lived through it. I learned from it. And that's another thing. Whatever you get into, whatever you do, learn all you can about it. And if it requires a skill, be as proficient in it as it's possible for you to do. And above all, don't be afraid to say no once in a while. Most people say, well, I don't want to hurt his feelings or something. Don't be afraid to say no. Because you'll fare better in the end if you do. And that's the best I know what to tell. Thank you for what it's worth.
Imagine it's worth it quite a bit.
And with any luck, I'll spend the next 7 years trying to figure out what it means.
Do what?
I said, with any luck, I'll spend the next 7 years trying to figure out what that means.
Yeah, that ain't hard to figure out.
Oh, well, it's getting late, but before we go to bed, I got to get you to draw out my family tree so I can remember it. Let me find you a piece of paper. Here.
It's only 9 o'clock, John.
It's what?
I said it's only 9 o'clock.
Only 9?
I'm sitting here and blabbing.
Oh, that was fun. Almost 2 hours, I think.
Yeah,
That was good, though. I enjoyed it. Is your thing still going?
It's still going. It's an hour and 46 minutes. There you go.
I learned a lot today, Dad.
I need you to draw out a family tree. I need to get you
What do you want me to do?
to write out who belongs to who your parents were, and who their parents were, as far back as you remember.
Write out what?
Your genealogy. Your mom, dad, grandpa, great grandparents. As far back as you know, so he can place them. Because there's so many people that you're referring to, nobody really knows